The greatest power on earth is the magnificent power we all possess, the power of the human brain. Professor X, X-Men, Volume 1, Issue 2. No one can stop the Vanisher. The X-Men are shown racing to meet Professor X after he has called them telepathically. The Beast jumps from the roofs and lands onto a moving train to get into a mansion first. Angel is laid out by a mob of women who want an autograph and kisses from the X-Men star. Marvel Girl helps him out by telekinetically moving the women off of Warren and onto a marquee of a nearby movie theater. Angel reminds Jean that the Professor X has warned her not to strain her powers. Angel then lifts Jean up and flies her off towards the mansion. Meanwhile, Iceman and Cyclops notice a wall collapsing onto a construction crew. Cyclops turns on his visors to full intensity and blasts the wall to find powder. The crew thanks the duo and they quickly head off to the mansion. They catch a ride there in an ice cream truck at Iceman's request. Inside the mansion, Professor X commands the X-Men to enter and assemble, and within the silent halls of the somber building, a strange brooding man sits motionless, and then the very air around him seems to create crackle with the urgency of his powerful mental command. X-Men, enter, assemble before me at once. Once they all are inside, he provides mental images onto the wall to show their next mission. He reveals the Vanisher is the intended target and shows them what was mentally witnessed by Professor earlier in the day. The Vanisher is seen talking to a policeman and inquiring about where Metro National Bank as he intends to rob it. The police say there is no law against intentions and direct him to the bank. After he robs the bank at gunpoint, the police tell him to freeze, but he vanishes into thin air. The teller is left yelling ironically for the police. The professor ends his mission briefing. X-Men uses a moment to play a joke on the team and shoots snowballs at them. Marvel Girl hurls the ice right back at him and makes an ice shield to block them. Professor X tells the team to stop. He says that their battering tactics will be useful on the Vanisher and directs them to train in the danger room. Inside the danger room, Professor X sends missiles towards Angel, who thinks the test is a snap. Xavier then shoots another missile at him and says to pretend that the missiles is the Vanisher. His task to catch it before it eludes him, which Warren fails to do. Professor X tests his heart and blood pressure to help him train better. The Beast steps up next and jumps over mechanical arms and appears out of the floor. He unknowingly jumped over them into a hole that opened in the floor. The Beast strains himself to stop before falling entirely down the hole. He jumps out as Marvel Girl gently brings him down with her power. Meanwhile, at Pentagon, the Vanisher appears. The guard asks for his permits and states that he needs no permits since mutants, Homo superior, is destined to replace the human race. The Vanisher disappears and shows up in a conference room suddenly. Colonel Heddershoot and a general are discussing a defense plans. The Vanisher tells them that they need to hold on to the plans as well as he will be stealing them from the army in a few days. He then proves his powers by vanishing suddenly. The Vanisher is lately seen being catered by a large number of criminals from the underworld. They tell him that they are behind him and cheer for him. He announces that he has set his plans to make the most daring move in the history of crime in motion. In the danger room, the X-Men continue their training. Marvel Girl holds a giant ball in the air using her mind. She begins to tire and Cyclops comes to her aid. He blasts the ball with his beam before it crushes her, which she thanks him for. Iceman is jealous and decides to play a prank on Cyclops. He sends an ice horse sledding at him since Cyclops was such a gallant prince. Professor X sends out a mental communication to the FBI agent Duncan. Duncan puts on a device that allows him to easily talk to Professor X via his thoughts. Duncan relays the Vanisher's plans to steal the defense documents. Professor X then sends the team off to stop the Vanisher. They are transported in McDonnell X5 #1 convertible plane to look for the Vanisher. Back at the Pentagon, a group of armed men guard the defense plans. Then the Vanisher appears and grabs the documents before vanishing. He is then seen down the hall where a group of men attempt to tackle him to the ground, but he vanishes right out of their hands. Next, the Vanisher exits the building and is met by the X-Men who have just arrived. Continuing his incredible progress, the Vanisher next appears on the building steps where he is confronted by the X-Men. At your service, mister. Now drop those plans. He is a true mutant. I can feel it. I can sense it. When an X-Men tells you to do something, Buster, you do it. Understand? Bah, your empty threats cannot frighten the Vanisher. Oh no, suppose we just take a little trip upstairs and see if you can change your tune. Fool, heights does not bother me. I can vanish from one place just as easily as from another, like this. He dropped the plans. I've got them. He did it. We defeated the Vanisher, and it was so easy. Look at me, a regular hero. I'll probably be invited on the Ed Sullivan show. If you are, it only be for your novelty value as a freak. Hey, where'd you come from? What? Give me back that case. Ah, boy, when I get my hands on you. He's back again. He was only toying with us. Stay back, beast. I'll get that case away from him with my power beam. There, grab it, Marvel Girl. You know what to do. Good shot, Cyclops. Okay, gorgeous. Use maneuver 18. You practice it often. Don't worry, boys. I won't let you down. You're keeping it from me by mental power. You're a mutant too. That's right, Vanisher. There are good ones as well as bad. Our prime mission is to protect the human race from the likes of you. Thanks for warning me. What am I up against now? I'll just put you out of the way for the time being. Sleeping gas. X-Men, help. He tricked Marvel Girl. I'll get him. Our first job is to get those plans away from him once and for all, so I'll just make the case too cold to handle. You're too late. These childish stunts won't stop me. I'll merely vanish again to reappear instantaneously at a warmer spot, which will melt your ice like this. Heck, if you had been a split second slower, I could have nailed him with an icy fist. Jean, are you okay, kid? Yes, but what's about the Vanisher? He got away, plans and all. He took everything we could dish out and he beat us, but good. Maybe this'll teach us not to think we're so unbeatable. Professor X was right. We still need more training. I never even laid a hand on him, not even once. Cheer up, group. It's not the end of the world. Nobody bats 1,000. The team regroups and heads home. The next day, the newspaper reads the Vanisher has the documents and the X-Men fail to capture him. Then a TV announcer states that the Vanisher plans to give the documents to communists unless the government pays him $10 million tax-free. The team bickers about their recent battle, and Professor X advises them that he will accompany them to their next battle. He also advised the government of his plan and how to stop the Vanisher. Stand fast, X-Men. Remember our orders. I'll give you costume juveniles exactly 10 seconds to clear out of here or suffer the consequences. My business does not concern you. I have come for my $10 million. They will not dare to refuse me. I don't like it. How come there ain't any troops or guards around? And then suddenly, surprisingly, unexpectedly, the X-Men stand aside, revealing another figure, one which is completely unknown to the public at large. The time is now, my X-Men. Assume your position. Vanisher, I give you one chance to surrender to me. Otherwise, I shall have to counter your power with a force which is greater, far more terrible. What? You, a helpless human, alone and defenseless, dares to threaten one who has defeated the X-Men? Let me laugh at you before you pay for your insolence. Laugh while you can, evil one, for I am not a helpless human, but a mutant, even as you, and you cannot even guess the extent of my power, power which is not being directed against you. His eyes, his voice, what is it that fills my soul with dread? I must escape with presence. I must vanish before it's too late. What has happened to me? I cannot control my power. I cannot vanish. Wait, what has become of me? What am I doing here? Who is this man who faces me? Tell me, who am I? Please do not harm me. I am weary, so weary. I must rest. I must think. I have to learn who I am, what I am. I don't get it. 1 minute he was threatening all of us, and now he's like a helpless child. He will trouble us no more. But sensing that some terrible mishap has befallen their leader, his armed band of criminals come toward the X-Men, thirsting for revenge. If they harm the Vanisher, then we lost our meal ticket. Get him! And now, my X-Men, it's time for you to take over. Those bulls won't be able to penetrate this ice shield, Professor. Just stay here. You remember, men, I want to remember you as the Look right now. What? Whoever that is, stop him. Stop him. I just want to get away from him. It ain't possible. Nobody can move that way. The beast can. That's for pop guns, kiddies. And now I know you must be tired standing around like that. So I'll see if I can find you a place to relax and cool off. Yow, look out. Allow me, my bestial buddy. Thanks, Cyclops. That's my neighborhoodly of you. Step aside, boys, and let a cooler head reveal. There, that'll keep them on ice till the police arrive. And it won't cost him a cent because the rent is frozen. Call the cops. Even jail will be better than those corny puns of yours. It's uncanny. The professor defeated the Vanisher by mental power alone. He made the Vanisher forget who he is, forget the power he has. Well, I see some of the Vanisher's playmates haven't been spanked and put to bed yet. Get the girl, Weasel. She looks harmless. She'll be our ticket out of here. Harmless, am I? How does it feel to be threatened by your own gun? She's a magician. Even worse, she's more dangerous than the others. Don't shoot. We give up. Please, do something. I feel like a nut bleeding with a floating gun. Come on, you three. Don't be party poops. The fun's not over yet. Don't shoot at him, you dummy. You'll make him madder. I'll stop that high-flying clown. Here's a little phrase I imagine you don't hear too often. Pardon my wings, fellas. Minutes later, after the smoke has cleared, Professor X congratulates the X-Men on a job well done. Vanisher, first appearance. Weasel, first appearance. FBI Bill, first appearance. Officer Smithers, first appearance. This issue introduces the Vanisher, best remembered for his role in the Factory 3 storyline and the Fallen Angels miniseries. The anti-mutant sentiment subplot has not been introduced yet. In this issue, the winged angel receives the admiration of a crowd of young women. He is unable to escape their embraces and has to be saved by Marvel Girl. Marvel Girl uses telekinesis to lift 6 women on the air away from Angel and seems to do so effortlessly. However, she almost faints from exertion, and the angel remarks that Professor X is determined that she cannot only telekinetically lift as much as she can physically carry. This contradicts the previous issue when she effortlessly lifted the beast onto the air, demonstrating her telekinetic powers. Angel refers to Professor X as Dr. X when he is talking to Marvel Girl. During the early years of the Marvel Universe, Stan Lee was notorious for his inconsistent naming of characters. He often referred to the Hulk's alter ego as Bob Banner rather than Bruce, etc. Similarly, Marvel's Girl ability is termed teleportation rather than telekinesis. The angel seemed eager to protect Marvel Girl in this issue, probably continue the subplot that he is romantically interested in her. In this issue, Cyclops rescues a construction crew from a collapsing wall which was about to kill them. His full intensity I-beam turned the wall's brick and mortar into fine powder, early indication of Cyclops' power level. Cyclops warns Iceman to shield his eyes before Iceman uses his power, implying the light from the I-beams could blind him. In this issue, Beast claims to be smarter than his teammates. Professor X reprimands him, stating that he is simply overconfident. Nevertheless, it is the first indication of the Beast's future characterization as a genius scientist. Lieutenant General Fredericks previously appeared in Fantastic Four 3. He becomes a minor recurring character in this series, starting with this issue. When she approaches the Vanisher, Marvel Girl claims that she can sense his status as a real mutant. How she can sense it is not explained. It is an early sign of her telepathic at work. Despite having heard of Marvel Girl before, the Vanisher seems genuinely surprised when he realized that she is a fellow mutant. This is the first time Professor X takes part in a field mission. The X-Men themselves are surprised. It creates a bit of a storyline problem. However, given how easily Professor defeats the Vanisher, it begs the question why the Professor needs the X-Men at all. Cyclops receives friendly gestures from the construction workers, which he rescued, but Iceman frees the hand of workers who try to shake hands with him. While Professor X takes an interest in the Vanisher shortly following the villain's first rivalry, he is not even certain whether the Vanisher is a mutant. He explains it to the X-Men in their briefing. In this issue, the Vanisher expresses his disbelief about mutant superiority over humans. He sounds very similar to Magneto, who was introduced in the previous issue. When Marvel Girl nearly gets injured in the Danger Room exercise and Cyclops rescue her, Iceman angrily claims that only of the X-Men could have saved her, but everyone expects Cyclops failed to come to her aid. The 4 guards of the Pentagon who are guarding the Continental defensive plans are depicted wearing civilian clothing. It is not explained in the story why no soldiers were tasked with guard duty. The Vanisher recognizes the X-Men when he first sees them. The issue hints that they have become well known to the public due to press coverage. After the first meeting, Professor X, Vanisher mistakes him for a common human. Professor X has to inform him he is a mutant too. The Vanisher recognizes something in Professor Xavier's eyes and his voice, which causes him intense feelings of dread. Professor X completely erases the Vanisher's memories. The villain no longer knows how to use his powers, what his plans were, or even his name. Following the mind wipe, the Vanisher also feels weary and has trouble even standing up. Cyclops and Marvel Girl have to help him with walking. After seeing Jean Grey's powers in action, an unmanned gangster proclaims that she is more dangerous than the other X-Men. This issue provides a well-known fact fact, comics during the Silver Age had an air of suspension of disbelief, demonstrated by the fact that the Iceman freezing a glove does not produce a frozen glove, but instead one has been changed into ice cubes and falls apart. The movie title that is seen to be playing in the movie theater is A Teenager's Tears. The ice cream truck that takes Cyclops and Iceman back to the X Mansion is called Mary Moppet Ice Cream Pops. The Beast expresses hope to be invited to the Ed Sullivan Show 1901 to 1974. The Ed Sullivan Show 1948 to 1971 was a long-running variety television show featuring musicians and other entertainers. The show was canceled in 1971 because it was mainly attracting an older audience than what advertisers had in mind. Sullivan himself had died to esophageal cancer in 1974. The next issue, X-Men, Volume 1, Issue 3, Beware of the Blob.